Nanyosha mikono yangu juu, naisifu nchi yangu maarufu. Nanyosha mikono yangu juu, naisifu nchi yangu maarufu. Hello, hello Tanzania. Hello, hello.
Welcome to the CPTM Smart Partners Hub on a very hot day in London, 25th of July 2014, and of course welcome to one of our founder Smart Partners in one of the key strategic initiatives, Dianne Rodrigues from Antigua and Barbuda. And we are very happy to announce on behalf of my colleague Joint Dialogue Convener, Dr. Cassius Lubisi, the Director General, that His Excellency President Zuma, President of South Africa and host patron advisor, have been stated in the National Assembly on 23rd of July that announcing that the Global Smart Partnership Dialogue will take place in October 2014. So I suppose the many days that count down, isn't it, Dan, that we were counting, and weeks probably ended. So now we are going to count. How are we going to develop the agenda for the dialogue together with South African counterparts? We have 11 weeks and a number of working days during those 11 weeks up to 14th of October, and we're going to probably have a strategy of how to jointly put together all the work that has been done by the Smart Partnership Movement since July last year up to now. But one of the reasons why we're very glad to have Dianne here is because the highlight of the leveraging technology for socio-economic transformation issues up to now, since Dar es Salaam, was very much inculcated into the interface between national standards bureaus, the inclusive type of approach that the institutions in various countries, including national development plans, might need to approach to interact with the national standards bureaus, and the other way around. So it will be probably the main highlight in specific sectors, specific areas in South Africa. And obviously we were very glad to again pin you down, Dianne. I don't know how many years we will continue to pin you down and you pin us down, but this year is a significance. In addition to the South African dialogue, there is the dialogue in South Africa is the fact that there are 30 years of science and technology innovation network, which became CPTM and the Smart Partnership Movement, the pin.
And the pin for this year.
The pin for this year, but also obviously the green and the gold and all the rest of it are those related to South Africa. So anyway, would you like to kind of make a few updates for our Smart Partnership Movement in relation to what do you think the latest interactions on standards and technology and visions and so on? Where are we, and how do you see that portrayed into the dialogue?
Based on a number of interactions that we've had recently, my thinking is that if you want a smart city, then you need smart standards or smart national standards bureaus to support these smart cities. So whilst you develop the concept of a smart city, are you also looking, and should we also be looking at the concept of other smart support organizations? And taking it from that, I would say that we market, those of us who are in the business of standards, that we look at standards now not as a regulatory activity, but we look at it as an activity which supports business. So we're looking now at standards bodies as a business support organization. But in saying that, we also have to look at how do we build in that robustness, and how do we build into our general economic activities the pull for standards as opposed to the national standards bodies pushing it. You want the pull because you want, when you do something,
you want probably the leverage.
Right, but you want something that is done that is needed. So it doesn't stay on a bookshelf, but it gets used.
So it's part and parcel of the integrated.
Right. So we have to let them know what we can do, but they also have to tell us what they want, and recognize that we could provide what you want in order to leverage the best for your business.
That's it. So probably that will be the main focus for a session. Of course, it will be focusing on technology and
right. Yes, because the smart will be technology driven.
Okay.
And also we looked at trade.
And then the trade aspect.
Right.
How does trade and technology and standards come in, do you think?
Well, obviously, and as we've all said, the whole issue of trade and regional trade and WTO and all the bilateral agreements, they look at reducing tariffs. While you look at reducing tariffs, the way now that you do some sort of regulation of the trade is through non-tariff barriers such as standards.
Yes. Yes,
Right?
yes.
So then that now brings into focus the growing importance of standards as you start to look at trade between countries, and better trade between countries, and more trade between countries, and also of giving the developing countries a space in that global arena.
So you see, there was the idea that in addition to the continuous interaction between the network in the smart partnership movement of NSBs in emerging economies, under the ISO or under the smart partnership movement, we also benefited, from the involvement of the ISO Secretariat in again emphasizing the value of standards and giving us some material about that through the webinars, and they were prepared to also touch base on the international trade. Right,
because you need now to move it from talking to the people who already know.
That's it.
To talking to the people who need to know.
That's it. It's a very, very kind of probably smart partnership type of platform that needs to be built. Of course, it costs time and resources for somebody in Bureau of Standards or somebody in Ministry of Trade to undertake to engage.
Well, does it mean now that we need to engage more of the users than the producers of the standards?
That's what it is. So, well, I mean, these sun-dried raspberries that you gave them to us, they are all produced, they are natural, Grana Aki. So thank you very much for it. So they are produced in Antigua, for instance.
Yes.
Who produces them?
Well, it's a small agro-processor. And again, we have to look at what is the value chain in the production of this product.
Yes.
And therefore, what do you need along the chain? What services do you need to build along the chain to enable this product to move outside of national borders?
So would a smaller producer in all the chain be able to say, oh, but I do need to engage?
Right, so the producer produces, but the national support services have to come from national entities such as the Bureau of Standards, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Trade. So governments have to provide the enabling environment to allow this small producer to grow the business, because in growing the business, you're also not just growing wealth in an individual, but in the entire economy.
In the whole, yes. To allow, what it means to allow is to support, allow,
to provide,
back up,
right,
provide business support services to them.
Right. Of which standards
which is
one.
standard is one.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is a whole kind of idea. I don't know if we are going to pick up real-time situation rather than, case studies. But
there are real-time situations. It's a matter of gathering the information, because they're very good.
There must be
case
everywhere,
studies
but it's just
between trade promotion organizations and national standards bodies. And the ITC will shortly be producing a booklet with some of these case studies from around the world.
Trade.
So we can look at some of those and see maybe how we could get more of these out there, so people could see firsthand that it works and how it works.
Okay. In Antigua and Barbuda, do you see some further developments now? There is a new government. When there are elections and before elections, there is not very much progressing, with the exception of the usual functions of the Bureau of Standards. And
even I mean, whoever is there, there's certain things that are happening in the global arena.
Yes.
And it's either you get on the bandwagon or you're lost. So new government, another government, previous government, you have to, there's certain things you just have to do.
That's it. It's an ongoing, actually, part of transformation.
And I think it's gaining traction now, this whole issue of standards and guidelines and recommendations that you must meet. I mean, I want you to trust me, and I want you to trust that I've brought you a product that is of some assured quality, and therefore you must go that way.
Technology-wise, in Antigua, do we have a food? Which technology institution, agencies could we refer to?
The analytical services, the Ministry of Agriculture. Well, I mean, in a lot of the small countries, what you need and what you don't have is some little bit of research and development that can help these persons. Yes, that's this lady may be doing it in one particular way, but there might be something different that could be done, developed through research that could help the product made.
But of course, the Caribbean is a very specially interacted, built-in network.
Yes, in some ways.
So if there isn't in Antigua some service, they will find out that there is in
somewhere
next door in another island.
Yeah. And it's not hard to do, because you have an established university and established colleges. So it's to get into that mode of thinking that you do need science, technology, innovation, research and development if you're really going to progress.
It costs money, so I don't know how the central bank or the...
It costs money, but I think money is out there to do it. It's a matter of accessing that money. Because a lot of the times they tell you the money goes back. The money is there for developing countries.
We understand that, but it may be that the money that came in, for instance, there was a story about the economic partnership agreement in Botswana, in Barbados, and which were there, and there was the idea that they were not quite.
Well, some of it is we just don't think a whole lot about, for instance, the project briefs or the project writing and the things like that you need to do to access. It's not the money that the money is there and you can just go and take it.
Actually,
there
Jeff
Delimore
was referring to that, because he was in Caribbean Development Bank, that most of the time well-intended activities end up into a policy paper, but it's a document.
Right.
And once it's a document, it's almost like finished.
Yeah,
any action.
It tells you what to do,
but not
actually
doing it. So
maybe
we'll talk about that, because doing it, this is where the smart partnership idea we're trying. That is where we're trying to get to. Because we have
very good laws on the books. We have a lot of policies. We have a lot of programs, but the implementation
Yeah.
and the measurement and evaluation thereafter.
Diane, we've seen last night when the Commonwealth Games were started, were initiated in Glasgow. A very large contingent of St. Lucia. We were looking for you. But
St. Lucia.
Not St. Lucia, sorry, Antigua. St. Lucia was also quite...
but I'm here with you today.
No, I know. But it was quite a large Antigua and Barbados kind of team.
Mm-hmm.
Is a sport in any way, for instance, connected, active sport, with standards? Could they be, or would they?
Remember, in all these sports for these athletes to go, you have to make you have to achieve a certain standard.
Yes.
I mean, all the measurements that go into the various equipment, the length of the pitches, the distance of the run, or the timing, and even the whole issue of doping.
Yes, of course.
Right.
I mean, all
That
those
is all,
aspects.
So,
So you see, I mean, there is...
So it affects every aspect of our daily life. We don't
so
realize
many
it
aspects.
until it's not there.
This is the thing. So thank you very much, Dan. As usually, for so many years, you are sort of leading us into this very obvious aspect of the smart partnership transformation and economic development. But now we are likely to probably have to focus on particular areas. So one of the area which is, of course, the sectors are energy, digital. Those are valid everywhere. There is a lot of interest in oceans and sea. So the other day we made reference to all the smart partners to the various background, the superhighways, the sea power in the 21st century, with a lot of reference to technology and ocean and standards, and a number of other things of that nature. I mean, in the Caribbean, as well as a number of other countries in Indian Ocean, and in the Commonwealth as a whole, the issue of blue economy or the sea, ocean, is quite essential. I don't know how exactly the standards might be again essential there.
Well, it comes into anything that you're doing, because in anything that you're doing you need guidelines. In a lot of cases you need minimum guidelines.
Yeah.
And also you need to look at those guidelines, take into consideration the good effects, but also more importantly, if you don't meet those guidelines, what are the detrimental effects? Whether that is at a cost to human life, to human health, to human safety, to animal health, the plant health, plant life, fish life.
Of course.
We see talk of a lot of things happening in the ocean now that never happened before. So
because
while we
technology
talk
developed,
about,
right,
because we deal with blue economies and we're using the ocean more. How is that use of the ocean affecting what happens in the ocean? Because in previous times it was said, okay, the ocean is so big, not a lot will affect it. But we're seeing now that is not quite true, especially with what's happening with the Arctic meltdown and those sorts of things, and the rise in temperature. I mean, it might be a 1 degree rise or a half degree rise, but we're seeing now how huge the effect of that rise in temperature.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is this interconnectedness of all the issues that suddenly are available with background information, and it's possible to do things. In fact, it's possible to do too many things. So the cooperative
and the other thing we haven't
is essential.
mentioned is emissions.
Yes.
And what the recent talk is about, that the emissions, the measurements that you need at even different levels above the ground is different. The methods that you use, and is it measuring correctly at any one particular point? So that is a big issue now at the for weights and measures.
Okay, well, I suppose it's so hot today here, and the sea, the Caribbean sea and the breeze is not here with us. We will be melting ourselves, including the smart communication team here. But Thank you very much, Diane,
You're
and
most welcome.
we'll continue to prepare in the next months the Smart Partnership, finalize the Smart Partnership agenda, and well, there is a number of Smart Partners are celebrating Eid, so on behalf of all of us, we are wishing them all the best,
Yes.
from Malaysia
Eid
to
Mubarak.
Caribbean to Tanzania and everywhere else, and
And in the Caribbean.
and of
as
course the Caribbean too. So once again, do probably take note of the 11 weeks that now are quite clear towards the Smart Partnership dialogue in the diary, but not only the diary in relation to agenda and the interaction that are going to take place as a dialogue resource group.
And also, I think of significance is that October 14th is World Standards Day.
Yeah. It is very important that 14th of October is the International Day of Standards. So probably that's an additional importance for Smart Partnership to be kind of dialogue this year, to be attached to the Day of International Standards. We are likely to have a program of dialogue resource group interactions in the next week, and we just hope that nobody is melted, and hopefully everybody is traveling safe back home, because we're very sorry again for all the various problems that we are aware that are taking place, but hopefully they will be clarified and taken care of. So, okay, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend to everybody.